What's up, world? What's up, Zion? It's been easy coming at you again once more as usual. I do have a couple slides that I want to share with you in this fine day that we're having here, right? And of course, before you get to those slides, I want to issue a copyright disclaimer, right, for all the copywritten material that's going to be shared in this here video, right? So, without further ado, let's dive into it, right? So, another error that needs fixing. What do they mean? Change the faces. Change the faces to what? From what? That is the question that needs to be asked. And why was it so important for them to do so? And most importantly also, who has the tendency to do such kind of things? Well, I don't know. Maybe like the scripture said, the world will consume our fatness. And truly, they have, right? And that people don't realize that sooner, it's gonna backfire on them in a spectacular manner. But hey, whiteness and blackness, this is where this whole situation arose, and this is not so many years back as people think. So there's a lesson to be learned here, right? Let's have a read, right? The fertilizer price spiking hit at farmers is no accident. A handful of corporations dominate the market. They exploit crises like the Iran war to gouge farmers. 4 companies control 84% of nitrogen production. 2 companies control 86% of phosphate. And 2 companies control 89% of potash. Farm Action President Angela Huffman declared, farmers have been warning for years a handful of dominant fertilizer corporations can use global supply shocks as a cover to raise prices far beyond their own costs. Right? The announcement is an important step toward accountability. Now the FCC must move quickly and transparently to determine whether dominant fertilizer companies are abusing their market power. Farmers should not be forced to pay the price for corporation concentration and geopolitical instability. Well, I wouldn't talk about geopolitics, right? That affects us all. Right? Fertilizer prices under fire, monopoly or market blame. A fiery Senate hearing, farmers and lawmakers call out cooperation consolidation for driving up input costs, while industry leaders insist global geopolitics, not greed, are to blame. Right? Senate Judiciary Committee holds a hearing on competition in the seed and fertilizer industries. Pressure cook on Capitol Hill. 2 weeks ago, on Capitol Hill, lawmakers took up the issue of farmers have long demanded answers for. Why fertilizer and seeds and input prices keep rising while competition keeps shrinking. Right? Competition for the sale of these things. Right? Well, it's been happening everywhere. Right? Video gamers have the same complaint. Right? These big companies are buying out small studios and basically just destroying gaming industry front and center. Right now, the people have to start a movement to fight back against them destroying gaming. It's greed, right? And now I'm seeing the same trend here in the fertilizers. It's the same habits, the same people, I think. Right? And it's even the price hiking, yes, it is happening even in the gaming industry. You not believe. And what's even worse is that you're actually renting these games. You're not actually buying the games and owning the games, right? And its mirror to this situation would be the seeds that do not reproduce, right? They just give you fruits without seeds. So basically you just rented, you didn't buy the seeds from. And yet all of these movements do not see themselves as one. It's crazy work to me, right? Truly divide and conquer. Right? Mosaic to cut US phosphate production despite calling for import duties. Right? So one of the companies that these people are talking about is this company here. Right? Those actions include plan to reduce phosphate production by 50% at Mosaic Faustina, Louisiana, and Battle, Florida plant, along with scaling back additional production in Brazil. Noting sulfur prices, a key ingredient in phosphate production, had hit record levels. Bourdain said Mosaic has withdrawn its phosphate production guidance for 2026 as it reviews operating plans for the rest of the year. Raw materials in cost of goods sold average that dollar per long term for sulfur in the first quarter and have continued to rise, which Mosaic said it reflects the higher cost of goods sold. Keeping the tariffs. Now this is prior to the war. Okay. They also suggested to keep the fertilizer tariffs. It seems that I don't know. Let's see what you decide for yourself what you're seeing, right? AgriPulse Oliver World reported that the fertilizer production Mosaic and Simpleton say they support keep countervailing duties on Moroccan and Russian phosphate fertilizer in the 5-year review now underway. The tariffs on both countries' production, which range from 16.6% and more than 47%, have been in place since 2021 after Mosaic failed a countervailing duty case. The duty are up for a 5-year sunset review in which Commerce International Trade Administration and the International Trade Commission assesses whether they are still warranted. Ward reported if the domestic industry had said it no longer needs them to prevent injury, the tariffs would have been lifted. Right, talk about injury. And the fertilizer producer said on Monday the prices for key ingredients such as sulfur, ammonia, and urea are continuing to climb. What if you take out the tariffs? What would happen then? As demand increasingly outstrips supply. As a result, the company is curtailing some production, cutting capital spending, and reassessing operating plans. Sulfuric acid is the most consumed chemical on the planet and the key ingredient of phosphate fertilizer. It is produced by smelting and refining non-ferrous materials such as copper and nickel, or by burning sulfur, a byproduct of oil and gas processing. The acid has become one of the most disrupted commodity markets since the war started in February. A large chunk of the world's sulfur comes from the Persian Gulf and has been choked off at the Strait of Hormuz, and new Chinese export restrictions are raising further concerns about availability. Why? Why did China do that? Why did the Iranian war have to happen? This is what they were talking about. 82% of gold phosphate fertilizer suppliers are vulnerable to adversarial use or manipulation, whether intentional or unintentional. This is the world that we're living, right? And as long as the world keep thinking like this, believe me, a war is coming. Believe me, the war is coming. So, why is Kuwait and Bahrain still supporting this nonsense? And of course, other Gulf leaders had to come up out of nowhere, right, and condemn the Iranian action, but not the Israeli and American action on their country, right? Nuclear terrorism. What did they do? Yeah. This is them wanting this war to scale because, right, as they say, they have a plan for the day after. Right? They have a plan for the day after. So this is why this guy is pushing for this. He was allowed to do this as a measured escalation. Just like everything, just like every drone incident in so-called NATO nations. But hey, Russia is the adversary. So a clash is coming. And that is for certain. There's nothing I can do about it. Okay? Again, free will and all. So, this story is really dark. Let's just say that. So this guy here owns a store. A guy comes in, right? A small kid comes in and goes about the store and picks up something, and then some words are thrown, right? And the Asian man here says the kid stole something, so they start to chase him. Not only chase him and other guy, I don't know, his son, if I'm not mistaken, and they go along and gun him down. Come to find, he didn't pick anything. And now he is free, claiming self-defense. Why? Because while this kid was running, a pistol fell out of his where he concealed it. I can't be specific where, but it fell, just like his shoes, one of his shoe, I mean, and his cell phone. And that gave way to say self-defense. What do you want a black man to do? That is the question I want to know, to understand. To all of these racist people. And don't even give me that crap about, oh, go back to Africa. No. Even here, you're bothering us. Dictating stuff, sending your armies and sponsoring terrorism. So it's not about that neither. You just want us to vanish out of this world. That's what you want. And now you're projecting that same nonsense to us, saying that we want you to vanish. When was that meeting had? I didn't get no invitation. Self-defense. Here they go again. Right? And again, these are not conspiracies. Right? This is that vortex of evil that has been sweeping across the world. Well, in most cases, it's mostly greed. And of course, poor condition. We don't have a cattle shortage. Then how do prices keep rising like this? Something is afoot. Just waiting for the hypocrisy to hit. Putin's Davos. The words. Well, my brother, it's quite simple. You need to form a serious security architecture with those people over there. Their side is already streamlined. And the only thing that is needed is for you to focus and protect yourself. Right? You enter into an agreement when if the insurgents are crossing the border from either side, allow each other to pursue. Right? Said. Right? And of course, you need to invest on a port. Right? Enter into an agreement with the AES to have reliable port access. And that will be a filter for your government to know who is who and what is what. But in order for that to work, a security architecture is the first thing. A serious fight. Yeah, apparently the nonsense in South Africa is still continuing. But hey, they have a whole identity crisis, right? Their nation is South Africa. Is it a name or a location? But I think they, swept that thing aside and picked up a identity that is currently not really working out for them. So what do? It's gonna get tribal real soon. You wait and see. It's gonna get tribal. Okay? This is where this is going. Ooh. We did not see this coming, like at all. We are surprised. Have a listen. A whole Masonic flag and everything. So the Kabbalah is involved over there. Front and center. This is what they have called the Putin's Davos. Yes, they are. What is not even being talked about is what they are doing to Palestinian corpses. I think I've heard that there's a whole organ stealing operation that is booming over there. Business is good, as they say. Okay. Everybody have sticks these days. That's the problem. So again, from the apocalypse to Armageddon, free will. Why does this keep happening? Seems that this is a sure way for them to get money. How do they use that money? What for? That's what's up. No. You will decide when to return to full scale. You see how these people are shifting the situation on each other? Again, no honor among thieves. It's a game. Okay? Again, just asking for further escalation. Right? At this point, they're not hiding who they are and what they are. And what do you think this is for? To provoke the Russians. Keep grinding. Keep grinding. Do not be phased by whatever these people are doing. They're just devils being devils. What do we have here? South Korea, Philippines, Singapore, Morocco, Denmark, Thailand. Okay. And what do you expect when they hit the streets? What do you think happens? You can almost say it is safe for them to say that they are covering up for each other for many, many things that we don't hear about. If they get frustrated over a microwave, yeah, this is educational. Let's just say that. You need to look up this story yourself to see how these people pretend to be gods among men, you know. Me personally, I don't care who they are. But some people apparently do. Can almost see the deflection. Wanna be pro-like. Well, I'm gonna put a pin on it right there. And of course, we are gonna hear from each other when we hear from each other. Prince Easy, signing out. Love you. Bye.